Hey everybody, my name is Will. Just talked to you. Working on my second video for talking about AA and my experience, strength, and hope. And we'll go about 7, 8 minutes. Try to keep it short, sweet, to the point, and maybe I can share my experience, strength, and hope with somebody else, and that they get the message too, and that life's a lot better now than it was when I was drinking. So I last video I was talking about my sponsor. He's this old guy, and he had the answers to everything. I thought, of course he didn't, but he led me through some of the hardest times of my life. I have an ex-wife that was back then. Every time she called up, it turned into an argument. She was bound and determined to set me off. I think she wanted to see me go back out and drink. And he said, "Ah, that's what Will did. He can't handle it. He's back out drinking." And by the grace of God and my sponsor, I didn't have to ever do that again in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. One day I went over there crying about how every time I talked to her, we got in an argument, it turned out in a fight. I felt bad. It made me feel like shit. It really did. I really hated her to even call, but I had children and I had to deal with her. And old sponsor said, Otis was his name. And Otis says, well, you're going to have to react. And I was like, what do you mean? He says, you do not have to react. He said, when she calls back again, say, I will talk to you and we can talk like an adult, and hang up the phone. So I went on and tried it. Next time she called, I said, I'll talk to you and we can talk like an adult, like adults. And she went to yapping, 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 and I went click. I was riding down the road in a truck with a flip phone. I remember it like it was yesterday. She called back a few minutes later. Yep, 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 yep. I said, you ready to talk like an adult? If not, click. I shut that phone up again. And, he was right. We hadn't had a crossword since. We might not agree on everything, but we don't have to argue about it anymore. I have not had to raise my voice to her since then. Uh, so that was uh, uh, that learning experience from Otis took me into that, and no regrets on that whatsoever. AA rocked along for me for uh, next 7, 8 years, and finally I got a year, then I got 2 years, then I got 3 years, then I got 5 years. Man, I thought I'd done something, and just I was very involved. I chaired meetings, I made the coffee, I took out the trash. We had an annual fish fry here. I did that all the time. I worked on that. I called out bingo, or not bingo, but the raffle. Yeah, raffle's a big deal. AA raffle's always a big deal, and help collect up winning prizes for that. You can't tell anybody what it's for. It's hard to get people to donate stuff to that. So it's mostly members that donate. We usually had a good raffle on that. Always had good speakers. And one thing I've learned from AA, from these people that were sponsored me, or you know, told were kind of guiding me through life. That they weren't sponsors. They all became friends. And they with that being, I could call any one of them if they're still alive. And at this point, I could call any one of them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they would come help me with whatever I needed. So we've had people call up to the AA house, say, "Hey, I'm moving to town, need a good meeting." They said, "Oh yeah, come on down." I said, "Well, could y'all come help me unload this U-Haul?" And what did we do? We all pitched in. We all went out there in a few minutes. That thing was emptied. That's happened several times. Somebody's moving, just get guys from AA. You don't have to buy any beer, that's for sure. So my through my experience, strength, and hope, the best thing that I can say about Alcoholics Anonymous and not drinking on a daily basis is I know where my car is every morning. And for a lot of times, a lot of drinking days, I wake up like, man, where am I? Where's my car? Shit, did it again, you know. Didn't have to worry about getting fired from a job anymore. Been very blessed. I'm self-employed, and it's done. Life's been good. I ain't always been rich, but I ain't always been poor. I've always had a roof over my head and a vehicle to drive. May not have been what I wanted to drive, but I had something to drive, and I had the ability to go out and make a living. You know, support my children and support my ex-wife. You know, basically what I was doing. You know, child support. But finally, we got all that's over, and like I said, we don't have to have a crossword anymore. So, um, you know, the AA has worked for me, and when I saw those videos about AA as a cult, and there's several people out there saying that, several different videos. I watched a couple of them, but I didn't agree with it. I Googled what is a cult, and it's, and if somebody's got a leader and people are following and they're brainwashing them and all that. And they may brainwash you in AA. It's very possible. I'm not. I mean, this is just me talking. And they they turned around. Said believe in a higher power. I didn't have a problem with that. I believe in God. I knew God worked in my life every day because couldn't nobody be that lucky. 30 years. Well, I was 33 when I got sober. I started drinking when I was probably 15. So for 16 years, no DUIs, no uh, going to jail, never arrested. I got arrested after I got sober. Got kicked out of the Waffle House for being too loud when I was sober one time. Me and another guy just left an AA meeting. He was all jacked up on caffeine from coffee. Had a lot of we was shooting up on caffeine. We were drinking it in there, and we already loud, but we were really loud that night. But well, I'll tell you a few more stories on the next ones. I appreciate y'all listening and watching, and then if you if you need to reach out, shoot me some information in the contact or down in the comments, and I'll reach back to you. We'll get together and we'll talk about sobriety and how good it is. And AA is not a cult, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you. Y'all like and subscribe.